Here we are again. Fog's been pretty heavy of late. It's 10 a.m. The fog was everywhere, and now it's 10:30, and there's still quite a bit around. It's trying to clear, but it's just surprising how long it stays around. Now, I want to talk about the value of gold when SHTF. And I know there's a lot of preppers that hoard up a fair bit of silver and some hoard up gold. And, you know, when things go bad and the currency collapses, I'm going to use this. Intriguing. The layperson often says to me, what do you want gold for? You can't do anything with it. And that's a big point that I think is overlooked by a lot of preppers and stuff like that, is that now, under an easy situation, gold has a large value. You know, I know gold could be used for trade internationally. It can be used for trade between prepper groups or militia groups or whatever. You know, established groups will use it as trade amongst each other if the grid goes down. But there's something that they're sort of missing that the layperson can see quite badly. And that is that when things go bad, there's several things that people want, and it's just their utmost priority. First off, getting fed. Second off, being warm. Third off, being dry. Now, when you're fed, warm and dry, then you can start to think about other things. But, say for instance you had a good heap of canned food, and some yuppie come to you with a few ounces of gold because they had a few ounces of gold from, you know, some investment they made or whatever. They had a bit of gold themselves, but they didn't have any food. And they said to you, I want to buy a pallet of canned food or half a pallet or something in exchange for this, you know, 3 ounces of gold or whatever. And, you know, you may go and sell that to him in exchange for the gold. But once you've got that gold, try going to someone else with that gold and try and see if you can buy back a similar amount of food. Try and see if you can get any food at all with that gold. Because a lot of preppers are going to realise, you know, they don't quite realise it now when things are all right, but they will realise if things do go bad. If they go bad, seriously bad, that they're going to want to hang on to every bit of canned food they've got. They're going to want to hang on to all the propane bottles they've got, all the bullets they've got, all the, you know, every other little thing they've hoarded up. And, you know, at the end of the day, a piece of gold won't feed you or keep you warm or keep you dry. You can't eat it. Well, you can, but it's not going to really be very nutritious. And sort of that fact is going to mean that you can't exchange that gold for any food. Because the value of food as a usable item, as a necessary usable item, is something that nobody is willing to exchange. There isn't any price on it because nobody is willing to exchange it. And that bar of gold ends up being pretty flaming lousy because you can't exchange it for anything. Now, I'm not saying that after things go back to normal that it won't be worth value. Yes, it will have value. And, you know, if things start to get back on their feet again in production terms, you know, it'll have value again. But when things are really hard-pressed, things are really bad, nobody's willing to exchange anything vital for something that, in all intensive purposes, at that point in time, is nothing more than a lump of gold. as nothing more than a lump of metal, is what I meant to say. You know, it's a lump of metal. What are they going to do with it? You know, unless they're making gold teeth, making high-end computer processors, or making jewellery, which I don't think are any things that are really high priorities when the situation goes real bad, they're not going to have a use for it. They can't physically use the gold for anything, and so the value of that gold temporarily drops to, might as well be a lump of aluminium, you know, because the real important things that are needed are unobtainable because people are not willing to exchange those very needed things because they're hanging on to them for themselves. So just keep that in mind, that, you know, you are better off with a whole stack of dehydrated food or whatever before you know, good with gold bars and all that, because, you know, I'll tell you what, I'd rather have canned food than have a lump of metal. But yeah, you know, that's one of the sort of variations between things now and things later, and that's something that I don't think preppers really draw into the scenario very heavily, is that, you know, feed currency ain't worth crap. Gold currency, yes, is worth something if people are willing to trade with that gold, but the real value, and the value that I often go for in regards to, you know, my ultimate currency, is commodity currency, things that can actually be used. So yeah, I thought I'd put that up because, you know, in a lot of preppers with their scenarios, look, let me tell you, the layperson sees there's quite a lot of things that preppers miss when they're thinking out their scenarios. And preppers don't see, but the layperson can see a lot of these things because of the different perspective in which they're coming from. Yeah, so I just thought I'd mention that one.